I would like to welcome our first speaker, Malte Scholz. He's the co-founder, CEO, and CPO at airfocus. So Malte, if you want to go ahead and turn your camera on and unmute yourself, I will give you the virtual floor.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, thanks Christian and David for the invite. It's really good to be here. So my name is Malte. I'm one of the founders and also the CEO of airfocus. And today I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of modern product management. And I'm going to introduce to you the three non-negotiables of like a modern product management approach. But before I get started, super quickly about me. I have like some SaaS experience, but not a crazy lot in terms of being an employee or so, because I quite early founded airfocus. I founded airfocus because I was always dreaming of a platform like airfocus, and I was hammering my head against the walls every day while being a product manager, because I always ended up back in Excel and PowerPoint instead of like being strategic and having a true single source of truth for all the product work and connecting the dots. And I was doing a lot of busy work, and this was like super frustrating to me. And that's why we started building the first version of airfocus roughly 5 years ago. I'm also a father of two, and yeah, I'm excited to now introduce my little agenda to you. So we are gonna take a look, a short look at the state of product management today, and then we are going to talk about an actionable product strategy, customer centricity, and the empowered product teams. So these are the three non-negotiables of modern product management. Yeah, what's the state of PM? So we recently interviewed 600 product managers, and the data that we got from these surveys and interview confirmed what we all know. Product management is mission critical for almost all companies and industries. As the Microsoft CEO said, every company is a tech company these days. And despite the best practices around modern product management methodologies, despite being the availability of these best practices, 86% of the PMs that we interviewed still claim to be trapped in the feature factory, and essentially stating that they're not focusing on outcomes enough, but they're just like doing busy work and creating features after features without knowing exactly how this will move the needle. So this feature factory approach leads to a lot of waste. So up to 70% of the things we as product managers or the product development communities build, they actually have zero impact. In some cases, they even like have a negative impact, right? Because products don't tend to get simpler or more intuitive over time when you just load them with more features. So there's for sure room for improvement and a lot of work ahead of for all of us. The question is how, right? What is good and modern product management all about? And I really like to go back to really the basics. So this was one of my core frameworks that I pull up every day here at airfocus. So what is product management? It's our job is to discover valuable, usable, and feasible products. And product management kind of is the intersection between the UX, the tech, and the business. So I really love this chart because by looking at this alone, you get a sense why this is so freaking difficult. And based on what I just said, we at airfocus have done like a lot of thinking, research, aggregating information, doing our own thinking around what modern product management is. And we defined the three success criteria, which I will now show you. So at the end of the day, it's about generating the right outcomes for the business in a messy environment between technology and the customer needs. So the three success criteria are, first and foremost, you need to have a product strategy that is usually expressed with clear product roadmaps. So there's a lot more around the product strategy, and I will talk about it in a minute. But this is really the thing that where everything starts. If you don't have like a mission and a product strategy, like everything else is going to be doomed to fail in most cases. I mean, I'm speaking in these frameworks right now, and I love frameworks because they kind of simplify the complexity of the world. But of course, I'm completely aware that you always break out of frameworks and that the reality is not that binary. The second success criteria of modern product management is the customer centricity. And you get there by really generating and organizing this customer feedback and the user feedback in a very organized and clever way, and generating these deep insights that you also not just look at once, but that you kind of reference on a regular basis when making product decisions. Yeah. And the third, and this is one of my favorites, the third success criteria we call empower teams. And here it's about teams that move fast and solve hard problems. And really the only way they can do this is when they are empowered to make like autonomous decisions, and they have some freedom in kind of solving problems, making decisions, and also failing. This is a very essential part of the product development lifecycle, that you have to be able and willing to fail. And if you look at this framework in total, what I really like is that the left side and the right side, they kind of gateways that lead the empower team to the success. Yeah. So on the one hand, they have a lot of freedom to do stuff, but the strategy and the roadmap guides them towards like this common direction, and the customer centricity makes sure that they also listen to the customer and like don't get too crazy on the vision or whatever happens. Yeah. So it's a pretty helpful framework, and let's now double click on each of the three criteria, because there's a lot of magic here. So let's start with the actionable product strategy. Yeah. So I'm going to read this out now because I cannot say it in better words, but product strategy is the logical plan of how the product will help to achieve business outcome. It's about how to make the product vision a reality while meeting the needs of the company as you go. Yeah. So, and the product roadmap is the common denominator. It's the thing that we all use all the time. Ask 100 product managers. At the end of the day, they all work with product roadmaps, although they very often understand very different things of what a roadmap is. For some people, it's just a list of features that is not so outcome oriented. For others, it's really this strategic document that provides this direction and that aligns people also around these shared goals and strategy. So talking about the roadmap, here again, for the people of you that maybe want to go back to this or make a screenshot or look at the slides later on, it's really to be understood as a document, yeah, that guides the direction and that is helping you align everyone around this common goal. Yeah, and I also brought some real world examples of product strategies here. And like a little disclaimer, a lot of this content is taken from the Lenny newsletter, which I can only recommend. So if you're really into product, join this community. It's paid, but it's really worth every euro. So what you find here on the left side is the Uber product strategy, where you can see how they strategically developed the platform over time. So they started with Uber Black, and then they brought prices down by launching Uber X, and then they brought prices down by launching Uber Pool, and now they're going into these other areas like scooters, bikes, and food delivery, and so on. So this has all been a super well organized and put together strategic plan that's actually executing the playbook for how to create a real platform. Super interesting. I can only recommend to do more reading on the Uber story. And then we have Substack, and this one's also fascinating because there was like a lot of tooling around blogging and all of that. But they understood one thing super well, which is that they need to find a way to create value for the writers first. Yeah. So they built these powerful publishing tools for writers, and they help these writers become better writers through all these services. And by enabling and incentivizing the writers, they also grew the audience. So it's a classic marketplace problem, and they solved it really in a very very strategic way. Yeah? And then if you look at airfocus, there was also some product strategy going on. So we always knew that we wanted to become an end-to-end product management platform, but on the other hand, we also knew that was not for sure the first product that we could build and start with, because it would have taken years, and probably we would have to make like a lot of assumptions. So that's why we started with a little prioritization tool to get feedback fast and get users real quick on the platform. And then based on the learnings, we built like this complete modular PM platform over time. It took us more than 4 years. And now that we have this modular platform, we help more PMs build better products through more apps. Apps are little tools in airfocus, and especially also the built-in guidance around modern product management. So it's not just a tool; it's also an education center around like how to do product the right way. We also have a checklist here, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into the details now. So you can make a screenshot or look this up later. The checklists for each of the 3 success criteria will kind of help you understand whether you're on track with product strategy or the customer centricity or the kind of empowered teams that move fast. So the next one is pretty simple, right? The best product organizations set up a feedback management system that informs the work of the product team, helps them to create insights, and ultimately solve the right problem. It's one of the more complicated areas where product managers and product teams still struggle. Really establishing this process of dealing with customer feedback on kind of when it arrives. So making sure you're not like losing out on relevant feedback, but at the same time also being able to work with all that feedback which can be like thousands of tickets. And on the other hand, when you connect the relevant feedback pieces with your product work, be it your features and your initiatives, you want to go back to that customer that originally gave you feedback or requested something when you have actually built the thing that they wanted, and then you want to close the feedback loop. Yeah, super important. So what you will find here is a real world example how we are at airfocus, for example, trying to be customer centric. I'm also going to skip this and leave this for later. I think this slide's pretty self-explanatory. But today I also brought an anti-example of customer centricity, which is also an airfocus thing that we recently launched, where we didn't receive a single customer requesting, hey, airfocus, you guys need to now provide help with like AI assistance or AI features. Nobody ever asked us to do that. But this came from deep conviction from my side and a few people on the development team, and we just built it. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is that there's always this one reason that may also be a good or a bad reason to break out of these frameworks. I think that's the point that I want to make here. So yeah, do all of that, follow the framework, but sometimes if there's strong conviction, just do the opposite. Again, a checklist for later. And then again, my favorite part about the empower teams. So this whole topic comes from a deep conviction for me personally, and also how we at airfocus think about product management. It's that every product and team is unique, and so are their workflows and tools. And then for these teams to really succeed and solve these very hard problems at speed, they just need to be empowered, and they need to be able to shape their own processes and workflows from the discovery to the delivery, the way you work, right? So, and for that, excuse me, for that, I also brought some real world examples, how this could look like and what this means in reality, and then also how you can build a tooling around these facts, right? So this is like a virtual example company with team A, team B, team C, and maybe the team A, they follow a dual track agile methodology when building products. So maybe this comes because the product manager is a big fan of it, or because the team and the product that they are focusing on requires that certain development style. They work in 2-week sprints. Maybe they use a RISE prioritization framework, and maybe as tooling they use Jira software and Amplitude. And then we have team B, which maybe uses the double diamond methodology, which is not too different from the dual track. So they're quite alike, but for whatever reason, they decided to just do Kanban, right? And maybe use a different prioritization framework. And then in terms of analytics, they just rely on full story because this is what gives them the most value. And if they have made these experiences, it's not necessarily a bad thing that they are not like completely standardized. And then the team C here is super interesting because maybe they're like super waterfall oriented in how they work. They maybe still do 1-week sprints for some parts of their work, but like the reality is they do these massive waterfall like concepts, and then just develop the things and release 2 times per year. Yeah. And maybe this team also doesn't deal with customer feedback. Maybe it's because this is an internal product and there's not a lot of feedback to be gained in the first place. And for some other reason, they are just using Asana and not trying to work with Jira, which many people try to avoid. So this is just like the setup that a lot of companies face. And our belief here at airfocus is that the software for the kind of the single source of truth for the product team and the product management team just needs to be able to adapt to this user reality. And again, we have a little checklist here that you can check out a bit later. Maybe just a few words on airfocus. We are a modular product management platform that deeply connects with your feedback systems such as Salesforce, Intercom, Slack, whatever you use. And then on the other side, when it comes to delivery, we are deeply integrating with Jira, Asana, all these other tools. And in the middle, we're providing a flexible toolbox that you can use to build tooling around these empowered teams. So maybe, as I said, one team, they want to do like really advanced prioritization frameworks. The other one want to connect the customer feedback and make decisions based on that primarily. And then maybe you're adding like a strategic roadmap on the top and connecting the work of the individual teams to it. It's completely up to you. We provide a lot of very flexible templates for you to get started. And yeah, this is kind of how it looks. Yeah, so that's really my 15-minute summary on modern product management. And if you want to learn more about this framework and also how you can do that in airfocus, you can just go to the website and go to the airfocus Academy or scan this QR code, and then you will learn how this can work.